What were we going about?
Nazis built the pyramids,
The
the
Nazis
aliens started the Holocaust. It's just...
We're talking about serial killers today. They're ghosts.
It's only going to get worse from here.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Crying Couple. This is your host Sage, along with my beautiful, lovely co-host
Gage. And today we are going to be talking about a movie that has been pretty good, but it kind of gave us a letdown at the end. So if you guys have not seen this movie and you want to, please stop right now and go check it out. We are going to be talking about the Killers
of the Flower Moon.
of the Flower Moon. I always want to say Under the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon. So if you have not seen that, please stop listening right now. Go check it out and then come back and check out this episode. But if you have seen it and you want to hear what our opinions on it, stay tuned. But before we get into that, if you've been liking our stuff, let us know. Become a sub. Smash our thumbs and leave us your safe words. I mean your comments down below. If there's something that you wish to go into more depth with us, or you have something to send us, you can leave us an email at thecallingcouplepod@gmail.com. We would love your feedback. Now, let's get back into the episode. Alright, so we just watched this. We spent a lot of money on buying it, and it was one of those we kind of wish we hadn't.
Yeah, it was kind of a flop for us.
I mean, it wasn't a bad movie, so let's start out with the pros first of like what was good about it.
We kind of have to start out with the pros because we got too many cons.
So the pro for me would be how authentic it is. I really do like movies when they go all out and try to be as authentic as possible, to where when I was watching this film, I had no idea that this was based off of a true story. But usually when I watch a film, I like to know what era it's in, and I'm pretty good at guessing around what time it would be, and I was definitely on point with it being 1918 to 1920, and I was pretty spot on with that one. And it was pretty fucking nice to have something like that, to where you felt that you were in that time era. Like they really did go above and beyond. I really did like that. I liked how they did go all out to make you feel that you're in that time era and being pretty fucking accurate. Like even down to the accents. I really enjoyed the accents because a lot of those accents you heard were true Oklahomans.
Robert De Niro and Leonardo, like really trying to pull out that accent and stuff. I liked how they were trying to really pay a tribute to the Osage people and like their language and how they did their wardrobes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean that to me was really, really nice to see of how well represented they were trying to treat this native tribe, and how they were really trying to bring out their culture into this, while also putting us in that time frame and that aesthetic of you were along for the ride with these people.
Yes, totally agree.
And that was very nice. The next thing I would say that was pretty good was the scenery shots of like actually showing like what Oklahoma looks like, and the nice views and ideas that they had for the cameras, and it was pretty fucking good. I really enjoyed that because it was one of those that, even though there was some artistic stuff to it, like with them dancing into the oil and how they described the way the gods have sprinkled down.
Yes,
onto
the sugar candies.
Yeah, the sugar
that's
candies.
How they described what a flower moon is to the natives. There is when a plain, which if you're from Oklahoma, you know what the plains are. Mm-hmm. When a plains field is completely covered in flowers, that's a flower moon.
Right. Well, that's where I really did enjoy like a lot of the descriptions of Oklahoma and stuff like that. That it was really done well, to where even for its time period that it was supposed to be based in, you still were just kind of captivated by the awe and beauty of it. What else was there that you liked about this film?
The use of actors.
Yes, there was
a lot of, like, besides the main cast themselves, like Molly and her sisters.
Mm-hmm.
the tribes people really were from Oklahoma.
Yes.
Like the chief, he's actually from Norman.
Oh, nice.
And he actually was related by blood to one of the people who were poisoned in that murder.
Oh, no shit. Mm-hmm. So this was him actually getting to tell a family story. Nice. Mm-hmm. That was something that I really did like, was, like I said, the representation of the Native American people that were put into this film and how they were there was a story about how badly they were treated, but they were represented very fucking well.
Of course, it was their family's story.
Yeah.
They would want to make sure it was represented correctly.
And it was. To me, I felt that it was. I mean, and I know people are just probably sitting there just like, you guys are a couple white folks. What do you fucking know? I get that. But
I will admit I am. I am just a white folk.
From my perspective, I would say I would not be offended by the way that they were represented by no fucking means. Mm-hmm. By none. I mean, I've seen movies where I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe that's how they want to fucking do that and all. But this one, I was just like, okay, the actual representation, great. The sitting in on the tribe meetings and stuff, fucking awesome. It was something that we don't, as non-natives, get to do or see a lot. So it was kind of cool to see that. And I'm sure that they were like, yep, this is how actual meetings go and all this and that. And so they kind of went through how everything was there, which was pretty nice. It was really well done. What else would you say was one of your favorite things about it?
Well, I've already said the wardrobe thing, and that really was my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is the representation and the little sage hut that they built. It was like the bush huts.
Yeah.
Where it's like folded over and stuff like that. The naming ceremonies of the babies.
Yeah.
How they have their Osage names and all that.
Yeah. I did. Like I said, it was just culturally appropriate. It was very well done.
Honestly, I can't get over that. That was my favorite part. Was just the cultural stuff.
Yeah, I mean...
Now for the cons.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm kind of out of a lot of the good stuff.
Sadly, that is kind of all we got for the pros of that movie.
Yeah, I mean... Alright, so, like... Everything that I said was a pro was more of a generalization of the entire film because there was... Those pros work for the entire thing. But here's where we have our issues with it. The biggest one is... Number one would be the story. I know that this was based off of a real fucking event, a real story, it's real things that happened, and I totally get that.
The true murders.
But my thing that really irritated me was that they would bring up something and then never talk about it again, or never give us resolutions of what transpired of that moment and how, like, we never heard really what happened with that guy that was trying to adopt those native girls or native kids because I mean, the only thing that we got was that he died, and I was just like, well, what happened? Like, if you were gonna go that far to mention this character,
Kelsey Morrison.
Yeah, Kelsey Morrison.
Dude, that actor who played him, that's a ugly, scary looking motherfucker. Like his face. Ooh, gross.
But I mean, like, that's my thing though, is like, you brought him in, but you never really resoluted what happened with him. I mean, you kind of touched it, but you didn't really give us that closure of, oh, okay, so this is what happened to that dude. Now, my second biggest thing was that, man, I'm just gonna go right into it. The ending to me fucking sucked. Damn, that ending sucked. And it's not that it was a horrible fucking ending. It was just, it made the whole movie fall on its face.
Yeah.
There was a way that they did it. Like, I absolutely loved the ending where they were doing this whole 1930s newscast and you hear or watch them making all the sounds and that voice actors that came in.
There was so much more they could have done with it. They could have really brought some light to the actual murder itself.
The murders itself, or even the things that were going on more and more and more into this movie, or from the movie till now, of like things that were happening after this story took place till now, and how it's still an atrocity that not just the Osage but other Native communities across the world that are dealing with. And it's one of those that I felt that they had the opportunity to make this a strong message and awareness. And I get it, that he was basically doing a shot for shot of what the book was to portray this story, which I understand, but you had that platform right there at the end to get us all, you had us all hooked, and you kind of just let us down with that. And that's where I'm like, Scorsese, I love your fucking films. I have never been a person who was like, man, that movie sucked. But this one, I was kind of just like, damn, I really hated the ending because they had that golden opportunity to do it. Now, I was talking to a coworker today, and he made a good point that he is tired of watching films like this and having to read at the end. I totally understand. I get it. There are tons of movies out there where people don't read them because they're just like, well, that's just, nah, I'm good. I watched the movie, I'm done. Which, yeah, I get that.
I guess, but not me, man. I like that read after it. You know, like I like that information dump that I need.
Yeah.
Terrible way to explain that. you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I do, and I understand that, but that's where I'm more of like, you had it set up to where you're doing this whole news broadcasting deal, and then the final person that you hear speak is Martin Scorsese, which, don't get me wrong, it was kind of a cool little cameo that he gets to finish out the film, and it might be his last film, which, all right, I understand. But what would have made that whole thing more impactful, as my standpoint, was to have, what's the actress's name that was the main actress that
Oh, Lily.
her name
is, well, her character's name is Molly, but her name is Lily. Lily Gladstone.
Okay, if they should have had Lily Gladstone reading this on behalf of Native Americans completely, of like, so this is how the story resoluted, this is what we knew, it's still unsolved on a lot of these cases, but
yes,
now it's...
her character's name was Molly Burkhart.
Yeah, Burkhart. I remember that, but I wanted the actual name of the actress.
Her name was Lily Gladstone.
It would have been nice to have her read the final statements, and to also just do some quick research into some of the things that you could put out there of like how many things are going on. Like, I got these right here that I pulled up on just a quick fucking research. So, like here in the Osage deal from the 1920s here in Fairfax, Oklahoma, where it's based out of, you really can't find an exact number of how many unsolved cold cases or any of that stuff on Native Americans from the 1920s when this took place till now, which, I mean, if I did a little bit more research, I probably could tally them all up. But so on that aspect, no, I can't get anything on a quick research. But like, how many unsolved Native deaths in Oklahoma in general? The OSBI estimates there are at least 500 cases of missing or murdered indigenous people in Oklahoma, according to a database the agency helped compile following the passage of the Ida's Law govern. And that right there is something that they could have said, of like, yes, we know we told this story about the Osage, but just here alone in Oklahoma, of just the past year, you know, things that they could be putting out of that nature on, they could have made a statement of Oklahoma if they wanted to on that aspect.
Yes.
And then you get this one here of, I searched how many unsolved Native murders are there. And NPR's Leela Fatal, I believe that's how you say her name, talks to Tamara Truitt, of the Alaska Native Women's Resource Center about ways to draw attention to the 4,200 unsolved cases of murdered and missing indigenous people. 4,200, and that's just from what they're saying, Alaska.
I was just gonna say, is that just Alaska?
That's from what they're just saying of Alaska is where they're talking about, but that's just in one state. That's not counting the almost, what is it, like, I think they take up almost every state besides Hawaii.
I've actually thought about and looked into the abductions a lot lately because it was a big problem even here in our small town a few years ago.
Well, and that's something that I want people to understand, is that they had this point where they could have put this out there of, you know, there are tons of Native Americans across our country that are being treated still to this day like they're nothing, they're worthless, all this and that, and we still brush it under the rug like, that ain't our problem, all this and that. Well, it is, because Just from one state, we have 4,200 in the last year. The last year, they tallied it up to 4,200. That's not counting Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, fucking South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska.
Click on it.
That's just the quick research. That's not the actual.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's not like that 4,200 might be the whole U.S. for all we know.
Let's see, in the U.S. All right, let's see.
Yeah, see, it's the.
Oh, okay. So, okay.
That's 4,200 in the U.S.
Okay, 42.
It's just the resource center is in Alaska.
Okay, well then let's look up also Canada because
yeah, they have.
Canada has a huge one too that we could have brought out.
Yeah, the other half of the Native Americans who played in Killers of the Flower Moon were from Canada.
Yeah. Okay, so here's one just real quick on that. It is, moreover, it reported that over a 33-year period, 1980 to 2012, there are 1,181 incidences and 225 unsolved cases.
My God.
That's just in Canada.
That's a lot of unsolved cases.
And that's not even all the way up to right now. That is just from a 33-year period from 1980 to 2012. So, like I said, you had this platform in this movie where you could have brought a lot of attention to. You've already made this movie to where we started to where you really wanted to sympathize with the Native Americans, and you had this great build up for it, and you could have brought a big awareness to this to kind of help shed more light to those, because if you've listened to any unsolved murders of Native Americans and stuff, you will always hear them say the one thing, that they are just a number, they are nothing, and they are treated like they're nothing, all this and that. So you had this beautiful platform that you could have done something to really help out with causing more awareness to them. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I felt like they fell flat on that whole ordeal. Is like they didn't do even just a quick research like what I just did and threw that into your film. It would have helped out a lot.
Lily Gladstone was also in Reservation Dogs.
Oh, was she?
Mm-hmm.
Which Reservation Dogs is also a really good show that's based here in Oklahoma as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So another thing that I really fucking thought that they dropped the ball on this was the fact that they did not go into they had it there and they kind of hinted at it, but they never like made it a true statement. Was that a lot of the reasons for the killings and stuff of these indigenous people was
the oil companies.
Yeah.
Big oil.
Big oil. They wanted all this. They needed that.
I was
land.
really upset that they didn't like corner the market and that right there. Like, Big Oil was after this. Like, they're the ones behind it. Like, sure, they slapped that Hale's name on it or whatever the fuck is, like, whoever he was.
Yeah.
They slapped his name on it and stuff, but who do you think was pulling his strings? Who do you think was funding him? It was Big Oil, because they wanted the Osage's oil.
Yep. And since he moved onto a land that didn't have oil, he was like, shit, I thought I was getting a bargain, but now I need to fucking find a way to get into that money.
Mm-hmm. He used his dumbass, stupid-ass fucking nephew to get in there and get in on the Osage's land, and then was killing them all off so that he would inherit it all, and then he could sell it off to Big Oil. And stupid enough that he probably had already promised this to Big Oil, and Big Oil's like, well, you better get to killing some Native Americans then.
Yeah, because this was actually going on well before Leonardo DiCaprio's character came into town.
Oh yeah, this was way before.
Like there was already
Ernest.
30 murders or unsolved cases by the time that Ernest shows up, adding on to more.
Yeah, this is why he got away with it for so long, because it had already been going on before he showed up.
Yeah.
So they couldn't pin it on him because it was happening before he was even got there. He was off in the war during this time.
Now, I know that people that have sitting here watched that movie are like, oh, no, they had the oil field guys there. My thing is that the moment that they took, Brendan Fraser had brought him into that room to coerce him with everybody in town, and they were like, oh, yeah, you know this guy from this oil company, you know this guy from this oil company. They should have had a big part by saying, we want this land.
Yeah.
We are waiting for this to come to us. You need to be on this page.
I'll be honest, I think the only reason they didn't do that is because of Big Oil themselves.
Well,
because those companies who were in that movie still exist to this day.
I don't know if those companies still exist under that name. They still might exist, but they might have changed their name over the years.
But I'm saying, like, there is a part of me that thinks that Scorsese might have not been allowed to, hint, might have not been allowed to say the things he really wanted to say, because those problems, like we keep saying, are going on to this day.
Well, even if they didn't have those characters say anything, it could have been really hardly hinted at fucking Robert De Niro's character of like, hey, I've already made promises to other things. Like, they could have, yeah, and I get that you wanted to do is shot for shot of the book and try to tell the story exactly how you see it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing wrong with giving a little bit more fabrication, a little bit more innuendo of why you think a lot of this is going on, and how you can put your own touch on it without taking or taking away.
I really think they should have had the uncle say that I've already promised this, like, so-and-so big oil company or so-and-so big oil company that I was going to get this and sell it to them. I've already made promises to big people, bigger than me, you know?
Yeah, like, you don't even have to say names. You could have said, I've already promised this to several people that are into the black gold market. Mm-hmm. You know, some way you could have made that work. And it would have drove home a little bit more of, like, the big corporations actually are the ones that are willing to kill anybody to get what they want, and they don't give a fuck.
I got the undertone. I really did. Like,
it was there.
Like, when he was reading the Osage book,
mm-hmm.
and he did the whole, like, can you spot the wolves in this picture?
Yeah.
That was the point of the movie, is to spot the wolves in the movie. And the wolves were the big oil company. Like, I get it. I get it. But we only get it because we're here amongst it.
Yeah, that's a good point there too, Sage, is the fact that we grew up in Oklahoma to where we understand oil life. It's not that we were in it all the time or worked in it and all that kind of stuff. It's just, it's the way of life around here.
Yeah, and we know how its importance.
Mm-hmm, and
from the biggest oil company to the smallest landowner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we understand the importance of oil. We know that the world works around it.
Yep, and we watched oil companies come into our town and pull these things and try to do this stuff.
We've seen the booms, we've seen the crashes, we've seen what they've tried to do, and, like, we've seen where it failed, where they were bigger than they were, you know? We've seen all that.
Oh, yeah. But for people that live in, like, Vermont or Delaware or fucking Seattle,
they're going to think the exact same thing that we thought they'd think. This happened 100 years ago. You know, like, dang, that sucks for the Native Americans there. No, it sucks to this fucking day because it's still fucking happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that
whereas we're slowly watching our town being eaten up by the oil field.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was gonna say is like, what people could sit there and say, well, that doesn't happen on their reservations and stuff. Yeah, it still does. I mean, the U.S. government's been trying to get into the fucking reservations forever, trying to get all their resources.
Literally, we see it every day when we go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Is because we see the freaking oil wells building right there on there.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're right on the edge of the reservation. They're not on it, but they're right on the edge. And the thing is if you guys remember any of the fucking news in the past 10 years alone, I mean, all the pipelines and stuff like that, trying to go through and saying fuck what they want and fuck what they have, we're doing it anyways. And so you got to think that it's not just something that happened 100 years ago. It's still going on to this fucking day.
I will give this stupid ass show Yellowstone that they did try to touch on those current right now issues.
Yes, they really did. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Yellowstone. It was fun to watch, but it was very like out. It
entertained us for the time, but that's all it was. It was not realistic. It was just entertaining.
And the thing that we really wanted was the whole Native American fucking aspect of it. That was more interesting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The reservation stuff was way more interesting than anything actually going on at the ranch.
Oh yeah. Like,
I was like, I want this show.
And we don't get it. We don't get to find out
there
anything.
Was no resolution at all with what was going on in the reservation or anything like that. Like, every time they would drop something cool about to happen, we're like, oh man, where's that going? And then, like, the next season, never brought it up again. Like,
they wrote it off in the most laziest cop-out way ever.
Yeah, like the freaking pipe going through their water supply. I was like, oh damn, this is gonna be good. And then, like, they dug up a dead body, so they had to halt fucking construction. I'm like, oh yeah, that's realistic. Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, they would have dug that up, had it processed as fast as possible, and then right back at it.
Yeah, and then right back to it. Yeah.
There would have been no delay or no like, oh, it's got to stop completely.
And
especially if they found out that it wasn't even native bones. They'd have been like, okay, there you go, get it out of here.
Oh, but on the other hand, though, like, how many times do you think that's actually happened and they don't just, like, kick the bones off to the side because those construction workers want to get paid?
Yep.
You'd be like, oh, shit. Sorry. They say, oh, shit, bones. Kick.
Yeah. So
scoot it over and keep going.
We will do a whole episode about Yellowstone in 1883.
Oh, do we really want to?
Yeah, that way we can really go into that. But
we mentioned it before.
We kind of mentioned it, but not actually talked about it. So we will talk about that on the next episode. But for this one, it is just trying to touch bases on where we feel that things are. And yeah, the big oil thing for the movie was just so undertoned.
It was too undertoned.
It should have been a lot more. I know that they were trying to depict it with the visualizations and shit, which was fine. But
and I also understand that they were really trying to focus on the murder and not on big oil itself. I'm just like, but that's the fucking point. You know, like that's why they were murdering was for oil. So I know it takes the focus off the Native Americans, but it points the camera at their killers. Yeah. And isn't that kind of what you want? Isn't that literally the title of the fucking movie? The movie is not called The Freaking Victims of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
It's called The Killers of the Flower Moon. Point that fucking camera directly at their fucking faces. Well, it was big oil that did it, guys.
And you know, I was all for it because I was just like, hell yeah, this sounds like it's going to be a good story and all this.
It sounded great.
But like, it also reminded me a lot of There Will Be Blood, which you said you've never seen. I
have not seen that, so don't give too many away.
But it is definitely a movie that is fucking great, and it hits on the same premises of this guy who finds oil and builds this empire and goes crazy from building his empire and willing to do whatever it takes to hold it.
I'll have to find it and see if I can watch it.
Oh man, yeah, you'll love it. It's a long drawn out movie like this, but it is also, the ending is fucking insane.
Don't tell me.
But that's where. But they were willing to shove the face of the fact that oil field companies and oil tycoons were not afraid to kill people in their world, and that's what I wish they would have kind of shown a little bit more light into this film, because that's really the whole actual premise of this. Sure, there was people that were racist and wanted to get the money and all this and that, totally legit. But they were only driven that way because oil tycoons coming in, making promises, building things, and giving people that sense of, oh, I can strike it rich here if I just do this. And that's kind of where I was like, you need to really touch more on that. What'd you get?
No, just a coincidence.
Oh,
on my actors.
Okay, so another thing, the con to the whole speaking Osage. I absolutely love when movies, especially recently, like even the new Marvel What If, where they had the Kahari.
Yeah. Kahari, that was so good. If you guys have not been watching the What Ifs, you need to go watch the What Ifs.
Spoilers, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and stop now. But where Kahari, they had her tribe and all that, and they spoke Mohawk through the entire episode. There was no English in that whatsoever. It was all subtitled,
That's the name of the tribe, but not the language.
Yeah.
We don't know the name of the language. I'm sorry.
But it was so cool that they did that, and like The Revenant doing it. There's movies that are doing it now, which is awesome. Except for this one, I really had an issue with quite a bit of it, because I thought it would, like when we bought the digital download. So I was thinking, okay, maybe it fucked up, because there would be a lot of parts in the movie where if they started speaking Osage, you would get the subtitles, and it was like, oh, okay, cool. But then there was at least 2.5 minutes of Leonardo DiCaprio and Lily, being the husband and wife characters, arguing in Osage, and you don't get to see anything that they're fucking saying.
Yeah,
you're just having to go off of what they're. Yeah, you're just having to go off of their mannerisms, their tone, and all that. But it would have been nice
to know what they were saying.
But yes, it really would have. I was like, dude, I paid this money to see what the dialogue is, see how good the script and everything is. To me, that felt like a filler. And if that was going to be a filler, that was the worst thing to fill in. You could have added more of the court case. You could have added a little bit more besides them arguing in a language that no one's understanding unless you speak it. And that's where I was like, man, it kind of sucks, because I would have liked to know what they would have said. It probably would have built the characters up even more for me and done something like that, which, granted, I get it. You were one to go very authentic of a real argument and all that, and that's fine, but you could have just at least put the subtitles in. I mean, if you're having people pay to watch this, you want them to watch and know your dialogue and what you put in it, so that's kind of where I was at on it. Other than that, there was a few times here and there where they would do it and there was no subtitles, which I felt like there was no need to not put subtitles because it was so short. They could have, and it would have been like, you know.
Yeah, and like there was, like you said, it was so short that there was no body language to read. So you had like no fucking clue what they were saying at all.
Yeah, they would say something and it's like, well, was that a curse word? Was that a joke? Like, what
like,
they?
What was that? It felt important.
Yeah, and so that's my biggest thing, is that if you're gonna do authentic, do it all the way through. And if you're gonna do a movie where you're not gonna put any subtitles in, cool. If you're gonna do a movie where it's a language that is gonna be spoken and you know your audience isn't gonna know how to speak it, you better fucking throw subtitles in, because that's feels like you cheat me out of money for me not being able to know what you're trying to put out there. What was a con for you, Sage, that you were just like, ugh, that really got me?
Oh, well, shit, I mean, honestly, I don't know, for some reason it was stuck in my head just now, so I guess I will count that as a con, is, gosh, the character, the uncle.
Yeah.
I at the beginning, I was just like, oh my god, that's so cool that he can speak the language.
Mm-hmm.
And he spoke it so well. And, like, he would go over the people who were sick and stuff, and he would pray in their language to them.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's so cool. You know, he must really care about them. This is before we knew the actual story, okay? So, like, don't come at me. But, like, I thought that was really cool. But then after I found out the story, I was like, that fucker was the one behind all that poisoning. And he was going over praying to them and stuff. I'm just like, oh, I can't stand it. I can't stand that he fucking used their own language against them like that, and that was just made me so sick.
Yeah, it was, which, I mean, yes, it was really part of the actual story.
Yes,
this guy snaked his way in.
It was authentic, and I hate him. I hate him so much.
And Robert De Niro did such a great job. That will be a pro for me on that, the fact that he did very well. You could tell that he really learned the language to speak it as fluent, even if it was just the lines he had to say.
Crazy enough, he really made you feel like, even though he was really trying to get this money, there was almost some sick way that he really did care about these people.
Yeah.
Some sick part of him did actually care about those people.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's crazy. That's a sociopath.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, all in all, he brought the representation of this person very well to the screen, to where
he really did.
I honestly started forgetting that was Robert De Niro for a little while.
No, I couldn't.
I did, for like, there was some scenes where he started getting into it, and I was like, damn, all right.
His character is the one that sold it for me, and that's really sad to say, because Leo really, like, is normally my favorite actor. If he's in a movie, he takes the screen for me.
Yeah.
In this movie, not at all. Not one bit. Didn't like his character, but you weren't really supposed to. But normally, you could not like his character and still love him.
Mm-hmm.
Like Django.
Django.
Just like Django. I freaking love Leo. And then you can hate Candy. You hate that character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my god, what a piece of shit. But not in Killers of the Flower Moon. I hated Leo's acting. I hated the character. I hated everything about him.
That's
I
also,
almost feel like I wish they had picked some other actor to play him.
Well, I think that it wasn't like, yes, did I feel like he was not all there? Sure. But I think that's also because of the character build. They should have fucking added more to how, not really how stupid. Like, they really try to make him out like he's stupid in this. I would say more naive, that he was gullible. And they never really captured that. It was just more of like, oh, you're just stupid, so be stupid. And he was trying to be a gullible character, but you couldn't take it seriously because no one else was recognizing it. like Robert De Niro never once fucking said in the movie of just like, yeah, you know, he's a little gullible, but we can make it work. We can get him to do what we got to do to, like, it should have been a conversation between the uncle and DiCaprio's older brother in the movie of like, yes, I know he's a little stupid, but he's really gullible and he's loyal.
You know what? That's it right there. Is I think not that we can't, me and you, but like I think they left too much for the audience to interpret themselves.
Yeah.
That's the biggest flaw of that movie. Even though it's 3 hours long, they left too much for the audience to interpret themselves. And I understand his audience target is, you know, a little higher class of a movie watcher.
Yeah.
A little bit smarter, a little innuendo-y, a little bit... You can interpret these movies.
Yeah.
It's not the basic people that are his target audience. Sadly enough, those are the people who watch movies.
Yeah. Well, but that's something that I was like, man, they really fucking dropped the ball on. They didn't try to make him. They made him try to make us believe that he was too stupid, but he couldn't have been that stupid. He was more gullible and naive.
He got away and did too much to be that stupid and gullible.
Yeah. So that's
like really, you're gonna fucking poison your own wife for that many years and not realize you're poisoning your wife for that many years.
Yeah, and that's something that really drove me up the wall. But another thing that killed me was that in the actual case, in the court case itself, what's his name? Ernest.
Yeah.
He ends up actually confessing against his own brother of the things that were going on, of like him actually killing Anna and all this and that. Like he flipped on his brother, but in the movie they never portrayed that. They never once gave you that.
Yeah, because I left the movie thinking that his brother got away with everything.
Yeah, his brother got away with it all. Never really got caught about anything.
Because it even portrayed in the radio station.
Mm-hmm.
It even portrayed in the radio station that when Ernest got out of jail, he went to his brother's house.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're telling me this whole time that the uncle and Ernest were in jail for like a whopping 3 years. I don't know how long. Not long enough because they got life sentences.
Yeah, and
I'll never understand that.
They got
how
out
the fuck
in no
did that
time.
happen?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, like he just went and lived with his brother, and I'm just like, what the fuck? What do you mean he went to his brother's house after he got out of jail? His brother didn't go to jail too?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
And that, yet again, that's where that whole time that we were hearing them argue for that bit of time, they could have cut that out and actually added that at the end for like him actually giving a confession of the people he was calling out, and one of them being his brother and shit, and really giving us that like, holy shit, everybody went down on this case, even though it didn't stick for very long. They all went.
Speaking of bad guys, how dare Brendan Fraser play a bad guy?
Brendan Fraser, holy shit!
How dare he? Not my man.
How is it that you had 4 major stars in that one scene? You had fucking you had Robert De Niro, you had Leonardo DiCaprio, you had Brendan Fraser, and John Lithgow. You had all 4 of them in that one scene, and yet John Lithgow and Brendan Fraser stole the scenes.
Stole it. Well, because you'd already been staring at Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio for so long, you're like, fresh faces, yay!
Yeah, but
they were the lawyers,
which was so funny because John Lithgow was always really known as a good bad guy.
But I thought he was.
But he was the good guy in this. He
guy,
was one that was actually fighting for all this. Where Brendan Fraser, who's always known as a good guy, being the bad guy.
I know. It's like they came to each other and was just like, let's switch. Can we switch? Can we switch?
But yeah, like they switched roles and shit. It was pretty fucking good though. I mean, to really sit there and be like, oh yeah, let's do this, let's do that, and when Brendan Fraser gets started, you're just like,
we should look up to see if we can find any like interviews with them about that movie.
Okay,
or any of them.
Yeah, we'll have to find something like that and see what the actors thought about this whenever they did it.
Yeah, and find out why Leo and Robert were not at the premiere.
Yeah, by the way, that was something that really threw a lot of people off because it was pronounced on our news stations that the premiere of the movie, all the native actors showed up, all those side actors, but the big main actors like De Niro and DiCaprio weren't there. They were dealing with some kind of Hollywood bullshit instead of being there showing support for their own fucking movie that they made. Which, I mean, if I was one of the other actors that were a part of that movie and showed up and was like, "What the fuck, you guys that too good for us?" Like that would have drove me up the wall.
I don't know. I felt like it's a Scorsese film, so I can't understand why they would have felt they were too good to be there, too good to even be in that movie.
Well, and even still, like, what was the drama that was going on that you really were just like, "Fuck that, I'm gonna be here." Like, I don't.
Well, I don't think. I just think maybe whatever Hollywood thing was going on at the time. Like, was it an event? Or are you talking about that strike?
It was. They were trying to be there for the strike instead of just being there for their film that they had made.
Oh, that's dumb. If you shot a movie during the strike, then you don't. Then that's not. You can't back the strike.
Yeah, it was something like that going on, but it was still like that was fucked up. But honestly, I don't know if I have any more cons about this movie. I don't really know if I have any more pros.
Well, how about this? Somebody who hasn't watched it yet. We spent money, right?
Yeah.
Would you recommend someone else spending that same amount of money, or for them to wait?
You know, I've already made that deal today for a couple people at work. It was more of like, hey, if you want to see this movie, by all means, go fucking see it. But I would not spend the money on buying it nor renting it for the fact that it's kind of forgettable. Like, at the end of the day, if you rent it, you're left there just like, well, that was really unresolved, even though it was probably beautifully made for you.
I mean, honestly, it's got a lot of us talking about. Well, I don't know if a lot. It's got me and you talking about it.
But as for buying it, no, it's not going to be one that you're gonna. It's not like another Scorsese film where you could pick it up and watch it again and be like, yeah, this is good every time. This is one that you could watch it once and you're kind of good. You don't really need to pick it up again. So I wouldn't.
I don't see myself watching this again.
Yeah, and I made the mistake of buying it, and that was my bad.
Mistakes were made.
But if it's on TV or something and on a streaming platform and you want to watch it, by all means, that's where I would say. And if you want to buy it, you can buy it. You don't have to listen to us, but we're just giving you our opinion on it and how we feel about this film. And
we just feel like it could have done a lot more for the awareness it was trying to bring.
Yeah, especially for the awareness. I mean, they were trying really hard. They were doing such a great job.
That's what it seemed like it was doing. It seemed like it was trying to bring awareness to the tragedies of Native Americans and did not deliver.
No. Yet again, it felt like it was another one that was just like, oh, stop right there. We don't want to do too much.
Yeah, because if you do too much, then, people will actually know.
Well, let's go ahead and just say, if you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't, that's okay. And if you've seen it and you agree with us, or if you got some opinions that you would like to put in there, leave us a comment down below, or you can send us an email. But honestly, tell us if you liked it or not. Let us know and let us hear what you had to say about this film if you've seen it. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it, come back. And if you haven't seen it, you've gotten this far in the episode, what the hell are you doing? Like, don't do that. Don't get a biased opinion and then go try to watch it for yourself. That's fucked up. So,
yeah, go watch it all pissed off. Like, oh, this movie is stupid. I'm going to sit here for 3 hours.
Yeah, especially for how long it is.
Trust me, you're not going to like it after listening to us.
And if you do, man, tell us why you liked it.
Somebody, please tell me why you like this fucking movie. I mean, I'm not saying we don't like it. I'm just saying I'm never watching it again. And I know that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel.
But other than that, guys, if you're out there living life, live it to the fullest, and make sure that if you were not aware then, you are aware now that there are a lot of tragedies that happen to the Native American people. Sure, some of them can be assholes, but that's just because of all the lifetime of hate and shit they've gotten. So just take it with a grain of salt and give them love.
Some people are just assholes. Don't give them that.
Just give them love. Like, kill them with kindness, as they say. So, But other than that, live your life, have fun, and...